Do you find yourself looking for new ideas to use that produce from your garden, your CSA box, or your local farmer's market, but you're not sure where to begin? Well, I have got you covered because that was me years ago. My name is Tiffany, and I am so excited you're here. I help busy individuals who feel overwhelmed in the kitchen learn new skills that give them creative inspiration to create quick, healthy meals with beverage pairing. Check out my link in the description below and follow me on social media for daily tips, tricks, recipes, and inspiration. And while you're there, download your copy of my free food and beverage pairing guide to help you bring your next wine tasting experience to the next level. And be sure to hit that subscribe button because I'm dropping videos like this every week, and I would hate for you to miss out on the next video inside my tasting room. Now, in this video, we are going to cover 7 ways that you can give your garden fresh produce a fun twist right away today. So let's get started. The first is with one of my favorites, and that is stir fry. Now, in my kitchen, we are always celebrating Stir Friday as a fun way to use up produce that's been in the fridge for a few days or all week, and it tastes a little bit different every time. We never know which veggies are going to be featured on Stir Friday on any given week, but it is a fun and very colorful way to use up that extra produce. So this is perfect for zucchini, bell peppers, mushrooms, onions, you name it. So many options. And if you are in need of a fun, easy stir-fry sauce, you can simply use a dash of soy sauce, or one of my personal favorites is honey teriyaki. Little sweet, a little heat, a little savory. It is the perfect, well-rounded combination for your next batch of stir-fry. Now, tip number 2 is to create a sheet pan meal. Now, this is super easy. You grab your protein, you prep your veggies, you add some seasonings, throw it on your sheet pan, put it in the oven, and you are good to go. Now, if you are in need of some ideas for those sheet pan recipes, check out my website in the description below and search recipes. You can also find a few videos here right on my YouTube channel with some of my personal favorite sheet pan meals that come together from raw to ready in 30 minutes or less. Now, if you are one that isn't a big fan of the flavors all combining, grab yourself a set of modular sheet pans. Ours from Pampered Chef fit perfectly on the half sheet pan, so you can have your meat and your veggies, maybe some starchier ones versus the other options to keep everything nice and separate. And then you can combine it how you choose when it comes time to serving that meal. But one of my go-tos is a Cajun sheet pan meal, and we make this all the time. Slice up andouille, dice up potatoes, get bell pepper strips, throw it all on a sheet pan, spritz with oil and some Cajun seasoning, and you're gonna bake that at 450 for about 20 minutes. Super easy, and it tastes delicious. It pairs really well with a sweet red wine as well, because as you'll learn in a little bit when I share some of my favorite wine pairing tips, sweet likes heat, so definitely remember that. Now, before we jump in to tip number 3 on how you can give your garden fresh produce a fun twist this season, I want to hear from you. What is your favorite garden fresh veggie? Drop it in the comments below. I look forward to reading these and giving you some recipe inspiration on how you can enjoy that with a fun twist this season. Now, tip number 3 is to make pesto. Now, most people think that pesto is only with basil, but you can actually make pesto with any green out there. Yes, basil's the most common, but you can also make pesto with kale, carrot tops, radish greens, and parsley and so many other herbs. If you're curious how you can make your own pesto using a fresh bunch of basil, search my YouTube channel right here for a quick and easy how-to demonstration on making your own pesto. And moving into tip number 4 is you can make green cubes. So when you find yourself with a ton of basil, which I know we will have here in our garden here shortly, we are going to have more than we need, but I want it to retain that fresh flavor so I can enjoy fresh basil, pesto, or other recipes, sauces all year long. And that is where green cubes come in. So you can chop up your fresh herbs and freeze them in a tray of water. So right into that ice cube tray, you can usually fit about a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of the fresh herbs, fill it with water, freeze it, and you have got those fresh cubes ready to go to thaw out and enjoy those fresh herbs. They also make great flavorings for lemonades, cocktails, and mocktails. If you want to add to soups, sauces, and stews, then fill it with oil instead of water. This is also a great option to boost flavor to your homemade spaghetti sauce, pizza sauce, and pasta sauce in general. Now, tip number 5 is to get creative with your grill or sauteing. Now, when it comes to those garden fresh produce, the grill is my preferred option because there is just something so amazing about that charred flavor, especially if you have yourself a charcoal grill. But sometimes you don't want the charred flavor. You're looking for more of a buttery, garlic, or herb flavor, and that's where the sauteing comes in. Now, some garlic infused oil, heat that up in your skillet, and then add the freshly chopped veggies for some delicious flavor and aromatics. And if you're in need of some more creative inspiration, I encourage you to check out Taste Buds. You can learn more in the description, clicking my link below. But Taste Buds helps take the guesswork out of cooking for you, so that way you can spend your time how you choose, because it allows you to save time, money, and energy while you're cooking at home. Taste Buds also gives you exclusive access to seasonings and recipes that can't be found anywhere else. Many of these have become family favorites and are on a regular rotation in my own kitchen. These are also recipes that I never would have tried before if it wasn't for Taste Buds. So if that is something that you need, grab your collection now. Click the link in the description below. Now, before we dive into the last 2 tips, I want to remind you to hit the subscribe button because I'm dropping videos like this every week, and I would hate for you to miss out on the next tip or trick shared right here from my tasting room. So tip number 6 is to preserve the produce. Now, this can be done by freezing or by canning. And if you have other preservation ideas, definitely drop them in the comments below so we can all learn and grow together. Now, we just started pressure canning last year, and it has been such a game changer in preserving our produce. Now, as part of our CSA and our garden, we typically find ourselves with more green beans and sweet corn than we can consume. And that's where canning comes in handy, because you are able to preserve that fresh flavor while also maximizing the space. It is a game changer. Now, this is something that I'm still learning, but it has changed our lives so much, especially with food waste and saving money, because we can enjoy that fresh produce all year long. Now, for those that are not quite ready to try canning yet, I recommend going the freezing route. Now, we've got silicone storage bags that are perfect for freezing. These are also great for lunches, road trips, and other snacks. But when it comes to freezing, it is amazing. So you can, some veggies, so definitely check this out first, but some veggies do need to be blanched before freezing, while others can go right into the freezer. So sweet corn is one that we do some freezing and some canning, depending on what we are wanting to do with it. The freezing option is great for us to add to stews and chilies, whereas the pressure canning option allows us to enjoy it as if it just came fresh from the cob. But preserving it is a huge money saver, which I think we can all use a little bit more cash right now. And our last tip is to get creative. When you find yourself with extra veggies, you can chop them up and add them to a quiche or frittata for a fun breakfast twist. You can slice and dice and add to homemade pizza crust for a family pizza night. Or you can dice and add them up into your own spring rolls. There are so many possibilities if you just get a little creative. And for more creative inspiration, I encourage you to check out Taste Buds to get new recipes, new seasonings, and tips and tricks to save you time, money, and energy in your kitchen. Now let's keep this momentum going by creating the perfect beverage pairing experience to go with your new recipe ideas. So the first is a general rule: red with red and white with white. Now in general, red wines are going to go best with your red meats and your tomato-based sauces, whereas white wines pair best with your white meats and your cream, cheese, garlic-based sauces. But this is not always the case. You also want to, considering tip number 2, which is to look at the sides and seasonings. When it comes to beverage pairings, you want to look at the meal as a whole, not just what the main course is. Your sides and seasonings can greatly influence which wine is going to pair best, especially if you, depending on your protein sources. So normally you would think you're grilling a steak, you want a dry red wine. But if you find yourself serving that steak with some garlic mashed potatoes and honey roasted carrots, a white wine or a sweeter Pinot Noir is going to be the better option to bring that full meal all together. And tip number 3, sweet likes heat. When you find yourself with spicy cuisine and spicy dishes, you want a sweet wine, red or white, depending on what you're serving, but make sure that it is sweet. This is going to cut back on a little bit of the heat, but if you are one that wants to accent that heat instead, then grab yourself a bottle of dry wine and it will do just that. If you're ready to keep the momentum going, click the link in the description below to download your copy of my free basic food and wine pairing guide so you can bring your next wine tasting experience to the next level right away.